Wist.
And I'm Bonni Mace. We're two Enneagram 9s who took the big leap into the world of entrepreneurship at a similar time, and this podcast is a space where we are inviting you to laugh and learn with us as we work to build businesses with soul. This is episode 25.
And if you have not listened to episode 24,
you should.
We would strongly suggest you go back and listen to 24 before you listen to 25, because starting with episode number 24 and moving forward, we're doing a little series about how Nine-ness shows up in our business via the core motivations of a 9. And so this is our first episode talking about the first core motivation, which is fear.
Core fear.
But if you want to go, core.
Yeah, core motivation.
Is that right?
You're right on point.
Right, because, okay, we'll get there. But if you want to hear kind of a summary of all of the core motivations that are specific to a 9, head back to 24, listen to that first. But today, how our 9 shows up in our business via the core motivation of fear.
Of fear.
So, real quick, if you listen to 24, you know it, but let's just say it again.
Let's say it again.
What's the core motivation, or how does fear become actualized in a 9?
Okay, so our core fear is being in conflict or tension, being overlooked or left out, shut out. And then all of that is sort of wrapped up in the fear of losing our important relationships and them going away.
Yeah. So conflict, tension, left out, shut out, abandonment, annihilation.
Yeah, annihilation. I did say before we record on this one.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen the word annihilation thrown around, but that feels too strong. But it works.
Yeah. Okay.
Relational annihilation.
So I feel like can we just work through it that way, where we'll start with kind of that
the easy one of conflict.
Yeah. And then go to kind of the abandonment.
Annihilation one.
Yeah. So,
and I will say, this is how this is showing up in our businesses right now.
Yeah.
This is not like, this is our strategy to make sure that our businesses are 9. It's just like, here we are, a business with soul, identifying with Enneagram 9 personality type.
Yeah.
Here's how it's showing up right now.
Right. Which we talked about last episode too, of like, just if your business is healthy, in our opinion, if our businesses are healthy, in our opinion, they're going to be constantly changing and shifting. And so, yes, this is very much a right now kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Which we also talked about how, like, we're about 16 to 18 months in. So it's kind of a unique place to be because we're toddlers.
Yeah, toddlers or something.
So okay. So Bonni, how does conflict and kind of your relationship to it show up in your business right now?
Show up in my business. So for me, probably the biggest way this shows up is that I am afraid of making us go broke all the time.
That's fair.
So honestly, so this is something about Mark and I, my husband, that I don't know that a lot of people know, but if you know us, you know, we don't fight a lot.
Right.
We don't fight a lot. And some of our greatest marital conflict has been around finances.
Yep.
We have this thing that we jokingly call the Old Navy incident from like our second or third year of marriage. And I did a normal thing, which was go buy new clothes. And I bought a lot of them in one trip. But we were still like very in debt for school.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And like I was only very part-time.
Yep.
Like at this point. So I wasn't making a lot of money, and I was just like, I just need new clothes. I need new clothes. And so I went, bought a bunch of stuff from Old Navy, and Mark like lost his mind. Like not in a dangerous way, but just in like, you would have thought that I had just like
spent every single penny you had.
Yeah, bankrupted our entire life and everything. So we laugh about that. Like I almost went and returned all the clothes and everything because it was just, there was so much conflict. And this is before I understood things about myself too. Oh, excuse me, Chair. I don't know if you guys will hear that, but let's find out.
It's okay.
Anyway, so not to say like that's the only, like it's not just my husband that I have financial fear issues.
Yeah.
But that is a big thing. Like I tend to I will not spend money for my business right now because I am afraid of that being a bad choice. So
yeah, I mean, I can commiserate with the conflict over money in business right now. I would say, yeah, I think it's funny because Lauren and I have had a conversation about this where I will get nervous when my business bank account hits a certain amount. Fun. And she is curious about that because it's kind of random. Like the number is just a number I picked.
It's like your own personal torment.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when it hits that number, I change into a person who says, holy crap, we're going to die. We will not be able to buy food tomorrow. I need more clients. I have to work until I can't have more money. And I would say we're growing. I'm growing because I would freak out more.
A year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. I do not freak out quite as much now. And Lauren is helping me to be able to see how money is coming in that has not arrived yet. That will satiate my fear of, oh my gosh, we hit the number. Yeah, I mean, I feel it. We hit the number. Yeah. So no, I definitely, I feel that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My coping mechanism is to just never do accounting.
My coping mechanism lately has been to just not look at my banking apps. Yeah. like just don't. If I just don't look at it, it won't be there.
That works better for you because you have an accountant.
I do. Well, yes, I do pay someone to do our taxes,
which I'm too afraid to do.
Yeah. So I don't technically have an accountant because they don't they're not checking on it all the time.
Gotcha.
They basically swoop in at the end of the year, do my taxes, and then also are like, you screwed this up again. Let's balance that out.
Yeah.
Because that happens every year.
Yeah.
So far is I screwed something up and they're like, that's okay. We can fix it.
Yeah.
It's like, great. Thanks.
That's reassuring.
I don't understand QuickBooks. So I appreciate that. But yeah, finances, I'm 100% in on that with you.
I think that's my biggest one, personally. Yeah. But then there's also the I am trying to be a coach, and I feel like coaches have to say hard things to people.
Yeah.
And so in the moment,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm actually in a coaching session, I don't have this issue. It's fine.
Well, I was going to say, you've said some hard things to me before.
Yeah, because in the moment I can do it, but the problem is there are lots of moments outside of the moment.
Like when you're ramping up for it.
When I'm ramping up for it, when I'm pitching to try to work with somebody, all of those things, I'm just in my head of just I'm going to give them bad advice. They're going to run their life. It's going to be terrible. They're going to sue me, and then my family's going to be broke. And so it goes back to the financial thing. And anyway.
Yeah.
So I do tend to have a problem with that. But it is funny because in the moment I'm like, this is what I'm here for. Yeah. This is great. I'm going to say to you the thing that I think is what you need to hear, even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then I'm fine after. It's before moments.
Yeah. I get that. I think that in my context, the way that plays out for me is often when I'm pitching someone or when I'm thinking, sometimes it's even as early as thinking about pitching someone, not even doing it, just thinking about it.
This person could be a client.
Yeah. And it's but I couldn't do that for them because I don't know how to make videos.
All of your skills.
They just throw out the window. You're a terrible storyteller. You don't know what you're doing.
You never held a camera. You're holding it.
It's bad. Sometimes it gets real bad in my head. So I have those moments, and then it's I'll be in an actual call with somebody, and it's no, I know this would work. I know this would work. I know this is what would be a good choice. And then again, my conflict with money comes back up probably because then I have to actually say, here's how much it'll cost. And I've had varying reactions to that over the course of my 18 months, which has been either, it's great, let's do it, or like, no, see you later.
Yeah.
So there's no in between.
There's no haggling involved.
Not really. That's what I've come to learn. It's really not in between.
Prefer haggling though? Like, is the no haggling so far actually like a secret grace?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so it is for sure, because it definitely takes people out of contention who could be problems. And I say that in a kind way, in the sense of problems in that they have a level of expectation that is, I'm going to get the world for my money. And I'm sorry, but I can't deliver the world to you. So, like, I think there's some of that. Some people expect a lot for their money. And I think that you can offer a lot in some ways that people don't quite expect. Anyways, that's off track. But
I'm good.
Yeah, it is. I think it has for sure been a grace in some ways. But at the same time, you have to like pitch an idea. And there could be, I feel like I'd be far more open to negotiation than people are willing to do. But
yeah.
So yeah. But then also, yeah, just, I don't know. I think it's in those times where like I have to look back at the track record too and be like, but people really liked this thing I made for them, or people are telling me right now how good a job I'm doing for them, and that's great. And so, yeah, it's definitely more of an internal conflict than it has ever been an external one for me. Although I've had clients that I've had to just kind of be like, all right, see you later.
Yeah.
You know, and like, and I've had to be the one to be like, hey, is everything good here, or do we just need to move on?
Yeah.
And that's been hard because it's like, I don't like having that conversation.
Yeah, speaking of annihilating relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that doesn't, but that has been that's been really rare. I think it's the like, and we can get into this a little bit of like, because I think this gets a little bit more into just like the next, maybe not a higher level of intensity, but just like kind of a next level of like people just disappearing on you.
I hate when people ghost.
Yeah. And like people who I've done work for, and it's like, I thought we were gonna do more, and then they just kind of like are gone.
Yeah.
And so that's that, and that gets into that like, do I matter? Is my presence? You know, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like being shut out and overlooked, you might say.
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, 'cause that's exactly what your thing says.
Yeah. That is the next one of the commas.
Yeah.
Or sorry, semicolon.
Yeah, shut out and overlooked. That's the one. Yeah. So.
Yeah, ghosting. Excuse my heater. If you guys heard that. That was my heater. It's old.
Yeah.
And it needs to be replaced. So if you are a benevolent heater replacer who believes in who believes in
gifting heaters
and reducing natural gas consumption, I'm your girl.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, being overlooked. Yeah, I definitely resonate with that one a lot. And I think that this one shows up the most for me business-wise because I'm very active on social media. And I feel like, okay, you guys are about to hear a very real thing. I will like people's business posts like nothing because it's easy and it's free.
Sure.
Like I can just do it.
Yeah.
Like I share, I put a stupid little heart emoji in your comments because I understand the algorithm.
Yeah.
And I understand that you're trying hard. Yeah. And you know what? People don't return the favor. Yeah. And like,
that's hard.
And so it's one of those things that like over the last, you know, as my baby's turned into a toddler, business, I've had to be like, it's fine. People don't understand the algorithm. It's not that they don't support me.
Right.
You know, like maybe they're thinking hard about if they align with the content. Maybe the algorithm's not showing them this.
Yeah.
But like also add me to your favorites. It's not that hard. So that's kind of
come on, people.
Yeah. So I dance between this like, this is like a free, helpful way to be supported, and people are showing up here, and I feel overlooked. Yes. And I hate it. So that's where mine shows up. So then I'm just like, forget it.
Yeah.
I just never talk again.
Right.
And that's kind of the extreme that my fear will take me to. Sometimes it's just like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, obviously I'm not as active on social media.
Right.
But I do think it shows up in similar ways, just even in like personal relationships too. And I'm not talking about like, we're not getting into like family dynamic here, but on a business level, personally, like one-to-one communication, even of like people who, who reach out and say like, hey, I'd love to be able to support you in your business. And then like nothing comes of it. Or people who, who could benefit from what you're doing. And even though they know what you're doing, like they're not going to call, like they're not going to reach out. You don't, and who knows why, like they may have a good reason, they may not, but like you don't have the reason behind it. And it just, again, it feeds that.
Right.
It feeds that lie that you tell yourself that like, oh,
it doesn't matter. Because here's the thing with us nines is like when these things happen, it's never like that person is a terrible person. Like we're never thinking that. It's like,
I did just give everybody an out, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both did. And we were talking about this.
Funny.
It's always,
It's us.
am a terrible person.
It's us.
I am not worth their time. I'm just going to sip the tea.
I'm just going to sip my tea.
Yeah, but that's what it is. It's just like, it's always the fear of being overlooked or disconnected is because I am not worth their attention and their time. Right. And it's never like, some people are just flaky. Like, this is what I would probably say to you. Like, some people are flaky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a balance there, but we walk the self-deprecating end of the balance more often than not. And I do think there are definitely other Enneagram types that are like, everyone else sucks. And it's like, no, probably you need a mirror. Like a little bit, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting part that I just heard us both do.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, we just played it out really, really well for everyone.
In real time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's a huge one. I think that, and we've talked about this a couple times, but like starting your own business by yourself is lonely and like hard. But I think, and it may not be like just our personality type, but I think that there is a level for our personality type that is, it feels even more isolated because we say these things to ourselves.
Right.
So we unintentionally put ourselves in a place of like hyper isolation as we're trying to do something where we really need people to be there for us and around us. And so like, it makes me think about like, even like, I got really brave and like signed up for Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. But I've done nothing with the Chamber of Commerce. So like it took that one step. Yeah. But then like, it's like, now I have these things available to me, yet I don't quite feel like I can walk into those rooms. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like we feed our own fear cycle. I mean, that's definitely, I think, and like every type does this with their own core fear.
I was going to say, that was my next question. Like, is this something that we do to ourselves, or do like all types feed their own fear in some way?
No, yeah, we all feed our own fear.
Because we're
human. But it shows up very differently because we all have different fears of things. Right. So yeah, like, I mean, so I always think like an 8 is one of the highest contrast numbers to a 9.
Sure.
Even though it can be harrowing. And so like an 8's core fear is like being taken advantage of or violated or betrayed. Yeah. And so they do the opposite of a 9 and they take over. Yeah. They're like, I am supposed to be here. Right. But then like how they feed their core fear is they go in, like guard up, waiting for someone to violate them because they're afraid that someone's going to violate them. And then they're like jerks in an unhealthy space. This is not healthy talk. Right. And then people betray them and they like, there's like an overthrow.
Disciple, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because of the way that they came in trying to take over to make sure they wouldn't get betrayed. Right. Then puts them at odds with people who maybe wouldn't have betrayed them had they been more vulnerable. Right. Right. So it is just like we do it because it's like, well, I don't believe I'm supposed to be here. I don't want to bother you. I don't think I'm worth your time. And then we're not.
We're
for the time. So
which I think is another, that's an interesting point, because I think that like all of the things that we've kind of said kind of feed that, right? Like the things that we've talked about so far, like line up to that point.
Yeah, I'm not worth your time.
Which is, I'm not worth your time, which then kind of like starts cycling back through all of it to like, wait, if I'm not worth their time, then I'm not actually really good at this. Then I can't actually achieve what I'm saying I can achieve. And it like it just like pulls the thread on the whole sweater.
Yeah. I can feel my heart racing. Scary.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding.
I didn't mean to do that. But it like pulls the thread on the whole sweater. And I think that it puts us in a really bad spot to understand, like, I don't know, like we've again, I feel like we're saying, I keep saying we've talked about this before, but I think it's good to go back to it. Is like we've talked about, like, if for us, or if you're listening and you've started a business, like you did that for a reason. You did it because you have a desire, have a passion, and are probably good at it. So like it feels like for any number, right? Like you have to really be careful of where your core fear leads you, because if you start to pull the string on the sweater and it unravels everything, and you really are doing what you're supposed to be doing, like you're putting all of it, you're putting all your eggs in one basket, and you're about to like throw the basket out the window and just watch them all smash. And like, that's not good. Yeah. And so my question for you, as like a enneagram person, is you just said like, this is the unhealthy way to look at it. So how do we healthfully address
our fear,
our core fear?
Yeah. Yes. So one, recognizing that everyone has them. Yeah. Because I do think, so nines, we can compare, but like not as overtly as people might think. Do you notice yourself like comparing yourself with other people in the industry and stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So, and we do it quietly. And we're always very flattering of another person. What the other people are doing. Yeah. Unless we're very comfortable, and then we trash talk. But hence the blind spot path and that's coming out. Anyway, so the first thing is to recognize that like every time we compare it and think like they're so much better at it, they have it together. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Like, no, they also have core fears. And the question is not, does it look like they have it together? Because I can promise you there's some, like for me, it's like, well, being successful would mean I could probably pay some bills around here or something. Yeah. There are definitely businesses out there that are paying the bills, and organizations that are paying the bills that are like crazy unhealthy. Sure. Right? Yeah. And that like they're not happy, and they're not serving their clients well, they're not serving their employees well. All of these things happen. So recognizing that everybody has their stuff and everybody has their core fear, and it's what you do with it that matters. Yeah. And so one of the things that I do, like in actual practice sometimes, is I will get like a notebook out. I was looking to see if I have it here. I don't know where it is. But I have a notebook that has like several pages in it that's like, okay, here are the lies I'm believing right now. Yeah. And I'd like spell them out, like literally write them out of my head. And then counter them with what's actually real. Yeah. And like whether that's something that someone has told me to my face. Yeah. Or that I can see a track record for in my past career, or that, you know, I could go to you or Lauren or Mark, like somebody who's really close to me, and say like, is this true about me? Like my brain wants me to think this is true about me. Yeah. Is this true about me to you? And you'd probably tell me something different. Sure. I think that's like a really healthy practice, is to just say, to just spell out, because fear uses lies to be controlling in our life. Yeah. And so remembering that everybody falls for it. It's being able to like identify what it is that's true and not true, and then go from there. Okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Cause I think that, well, a lot of what we just talked about was like feeding the lie. And so if we can, that's very easy to do. Yeah. Like, but if we can call it out as it being what it is, which is a lie, and then like find the truth there, I think that's helpful. And I think it's important to like recognize you're not always going to think about it as like, this is my core fear at work here. Like sometimes you just think like, I'm stressed out. Like this is business 101. Like being able to pay for things, you know, like having an income is business 101. It's not my core fear.
Right.
But it's like peeling back the layers of what your brain is saying and what the lies are saying until you arrive at one of these core motivations. That's the thing. And usually more often than not, when there's unhealthy behavior, it's core fear. Tapping at our window. So
right, because I think I was gonna say like the other weakness obviously is like kind of fear and weakness out of the core motivations are like kind of the more negative.
That's the ones we judge negatively.
Right? Yeah. So those are the ones that we're gonna quickly like slide down that slope of negativity. So it makes sense that like if it's kind of an unhealthy thing, that is probably gonna like kind of funnel back towards one of those in my brain. So but yeah, I think that's good to like understand that fear may not be the only thing at work. It could be behind all of it, but there could be something else too. And to kind of like, I think that's what you're saying. The practice you're talking about helps you kind of analyze where are those lies coming from and where do they lead? So that's
and like what's the truth that actually counters them? Like what's real behind this that we're ignoring because of what we're thinking? And that's something like what you were saying too makes me remember, you know, like in the last episode I talked about looking at all of these core motivations without judgment. Yeah. Which it's easier to look at them with judgment. But the truth is that core fear and core desires have like unhealthy practices. And core fears and core desires, like, because we would label desire maybe okay, right?
Sure.
It's like a good thing to have. In our gut instinct. But then at the same time, core fear and core desire have really healthy ways to be expressed too. Yeah. And so when we're thinking about our core fear and like, instead of just like, and this is something in Christian circles, excuse me, I'm stuttering because I'm trying to get the whole thought out. In Christian circles, especially, we tend to like really talk about fear as like a sign of spiritual immaturity. Like if you're afraid, then your walk with God is not right. And like, you're not a very strong Christian and like, you just need to trust God. Yeah. And we throw a bunch of just chill out. Just don't be afraid. Just blah, blah, blah. And the thing is like, no. You know, just no, period. Everyone has fears. It's talked about in the scripture so much because it is a real experience that people have. Right. It's what you do with it and how aware of it you can become that makes it healthy or unhealthy. So when it comes to doing things for our business, like reaching out to a client to ask for a review, like we said, or whatever. Yeah. Dealing with a fear in a healthy way is to say, I'm not going to wait until this feels comfortable to do. Yeah. Yeah. And then when you do it, like you celebrate the crap out of yourself because you just did something like extraordinarily hard for your type. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a healthy way.
Yeah. And I think of that, like, so there's been a couple, just to like kind of put some skin on it, I guess, like there's been a couple times where I feel like I've had to do something that feels uncomfortable at the time, but I can see the fruit of it and like see the appreciation of that conversation happening afterwards. Like I have a great client who hopefully I'll work with for a very long time, who we were running into time constraints and budget constraints and things like that. And it was, you know, like the conversation was, this isn't how my time is best served. Because number one, it's hurting my business. I think it's hurting yours also. And if we keep moving in this direction, like something's got to change, basically was the conversation. And they were really appreciative of that. Like they didn't see how it was hurting the whole process. And so being able to like reflect on that and find solutions to move forward that were better for both of us was really, really good. But sitting down for me to process what I needed to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, scale of 1 to barf. How was that?
Oh my gosh. Like, like super scary, like really, really scary, like scary because again, like great person, great client, somebody I want to continue to work with. And the fear of like abandonment, the fear of being overlooked, the fear of being left behind, the fear, all of that starts coming up. And I am convincing myself that every single thing I'm about to say to them is going to convince them to just walk away from me. Yeah, to just abandon me.
Right.
And so I think understanding that they're just, and some of the reason why I think I could have some of that conversation is because of things like counseling and things in my personal life.
Thank you, therapy.
That I have had to do. So I was able to take some of those tools and use them with this, but understanding that conversation could have gone one of two ways, a good way or a bad way. I tried to set myself up the best I could for it to be a good result. If it was a bad result, as in they did walk away, I did everything in my power that I could have to make it work.
And leaving it alone would have been a bad way.
And that alone would have been like super detrimental to our relationship as like customer and business relationship, but also like really detrimental to the rest of my business. And so I think, seeing those issues and being willing to say, yes, it's an issue and I need to address it. Like sometimes you just have to do it. And if you don't, then you're just going to see the things start to pile up against, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. But yeah, I mean, it's very scary.
Yeah.
Because in the moment too, it feels like everything's riding on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that may be the case, but the majority, like not everything's going to crumble based off of that one conversation.
Yeah. But it feels extraordinarily difficult. And that's part of like, okay, how can we handle our fears with healthiness?
Right.
Yeah. Just simply saying, this thing is harder for me. Like, for instance, I'm 5'1".
Yeah.
If you've never met me in real life, you don't know this about me. It's just harder for me to reach the top shelf.
Yeah.
This is sort of the same, like, I'm not detrimental of myself because I can't reach the top shelf. I'm not mad at the people in the world who've decided the cabinets need to go in the air. Like, it just...
How dare you?
How dare you design cabinets this way?
Yeah.
Like, it just is part of my existence and my struggle. So, and I have to get a stool out and work hard to get something from the top shelf. Like, I have earned that piece of chocolate that I worked so hard for, whatever, same thing with fears. Yeah.
And with that specific conversation, like I was very upfront about how uncomfortable I was having the conversation. Yeah. Like I just even said it. I was like, this makes me super uncomfortable. Yeah. Oh, we have to talk about it.
It's me.
Yeah. This simple. Yeah. So anyways, but.
No, that's a great example.
Yeah.
And a good example of it would just, things would go sour when we avoid our fears. That's an unhealthy thing. Like basically, like when we avoid or sink into one of our core motivations, we end up accessing, like, for lack of a better term, like ego ways to cope with it, which is making it all about ourselves. And so for Nine to step out of the like people will abandon me fear, or to step into it, I guess I should say, is like showing up more and leaning into a healthy way of existence, and in a sense forgetting about yourself in a way, because in a healthy way we forget about ourselves in unhealthy ways all the time. But,
right yeah,
it's good.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Well done, John. You had a hard conversation whatever months ago that was.
It was in the fall.
Several months ago.
Yeah, it was in the fall.
But if you didn't celebrate it, you should today.
Well, no, what's interesting is like I think like I wouldn't call it like celebration of like I went out and I don't know, got a milkshake.
John's preferred method of celebration.
That's my celebration method. But no, it was like there was, I think, celebration in like probably Lauren and I talking about it, being able to say like this was a good call. Number one. Number two, like the client relationship is better now.
Right.
Like, so all of those things like built on each other to be like, no, this was a good thing that happened. And we can celebrate the fact that like we're still working together. we have, done some successful things, and like we're going to keep moving forward. So, yeah, I think it's celebrating it on a probably different level than other people might, but like just like a low key, like this was a good call. So
way to go. That's good.
Yeah.
But also you can buy yourself a milkshake next time too.
Yeah.
As well.
I do allow myself to do that a little more often now.
Yeah.
So
I think we are more often to be like, I signed a new client, I'm going to buy myself a milkshake. Instead of like, I did this thing that's uniquely difficult for my psychology. Yeah.
And the way I'm made.
Like, hey, I'm going to get you today. Can you give me a psychological milestone milkshake? Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome.
2 cherries.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
Just top it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we need to do that sometimes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Psychological milestone. That needs to be like the quote for this episode or something. Like, go buy yourself a psychological milestone milkshake.
Yeah. The teenagers at Chick-fil-A will be so confused. Oh, yikes.
Good.
Okay.
Vicious. Okay. So, fear. We have conquered fear for this episode.
Yeah, that's good.
So next will be desire, right?
Yeah.
Our next episode.
That's correct.
Core motivation, desire. So, if we'd love to hear. We've been asking you to send us messages on our Anchor FM. So we'd love to hear from you about ways that any one of these. But if you want to respond in response to this episode about fear, how you see fear kind of impacting or showing up in your business, we'd love to hear it, be able to share it.
Also make you feel not alone in it.
Yeah. Like we can commiserate.
Yes.
So you can do that, anchor.fm/EntrepreNINES.
EntrepreNINES. Yeah.
So.
And you can leave us a rating and review. We're switching roles here.
Yeah.
Usually you say that,
Yeah.
but I'm going to say it now. So I'm going to say it, and you guys can let us know who says it better.
Nice.
A rating and review on all of the stores. So you listen to the
First.
or you listen to the podcast, John does it better. Because other people might find us that way.
Yeah.
And that'd be fun.
And you can find us on the internet. And all of our information will be in the show notes.
Yeah. You did equally good at that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I think you did a great job too. Although I'm not sure they call it stores anymore.
Platforms?
So, streaming platforms.
Streaming platforms.
Yeah, something like that.
Mega tech giant.
Yeah.
Data warehouse.
Yeah, whatever tech giant you get your podcast from. Review us there.
Review there. They'll store it on their massive servers, and we will benefit from that
forever.
Yeah. The one that's gone downhill.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we will see you next time for the core motivation of desire.
Yay. Bye.